The Pinball Enterprise, and I know it doesn't probably look like I've done much, but I have. And number one, everything is assembled, and I'm going back in and doing a lot of the seams on the nacelles and a few other places. And first thing on the seams, after I clamped them, I take Mr. O Hobby Knife, which is AKA Mr. Sandpaper, because the back of the hobby knife is always a great tool and scraper to get the seams off. So I'm working my way down, knocking the high points off, and then I'll go back in with Mr. Sanding Stick and actually sand those down a little bit more smoother, and then we'll be ready to proceed on. But anyway, that's what I've been doing on that, and I've been using Mr. Tulip, and I've been going around and putting Tulip in just a few little areas where it actually clamped down good, but it wanted to just wouldn't go all the way down, so I just added a little Tulip, and add Tulip around a few little seam areas where it actually is secured, but it's not, it just needs a little Tulip just to hide a little bit of the seam, because it's supposed to be like a panel line. But anyway, got most of that done. Working on the impulse deck, which I got part of it taped off, and I'm going to have to go get the decal sheet out. I got to cut it out, make a little mask template, and then fix that up. Trim most of the vacuum form off, and then what I'm going to do now is I got one bead of Tulip in there, and I'm just going to fill it in, and then once you get some paint on, it'll be blended in with the ship. Now after I get everything sanded, which is going to take I don't know, day or two, we'll try to I'm going to try to at least get the majority of seams, and if there's any gaps or anything. And I just got to, like right here, you know, that's a good prime example. That needs a little bit of Tulip filled in, and we'll be good to go. But anyway, after that, I got to light block certain areas, and that's basically around the saucer excuse me, and get that all light block, which I'm trying to paint. It's going to be spotches in black, which I'm trying to paint the car and that at the same time, 'cause, that's just the way I like to do things. You know, you have one deal of paint, and then you can start painting multiple projects all at one time. But anyway, not there at light blocking yet. I am at seam and gap stage. So anyway, that's where I stand on Mr. Pinball Machine. The baby driver car, I actually I tried to mix the Tor Red, which I really couldn't do it. It was actually darker if I did it. So I went to the hobby store and I found Chevrolet Engine Red, and putting that on there, and it is really, really close. I mean, it's probably just maybe a half a shade difference, and so I'm going to go with it. But if you see it on film, I don't think you'll notice it, because it will be driving, plus different lighting will hit it. The LED lights, you know, may show it a different than the sunlight. And I think with the sunlight, natural light, I think it'll be a really, really close. But so I went ahead and I took Mr. Brush, took good old Testors, cheap brushes, and I went ahead and I just basically brushed on one coat. That's after I sanded it. I went back in and sanded down again, and it just had just a little bit of kind of want to say pitted in a way, and I did a heavy coat with the brush, and can't see any of my brush strokes, which when you paint, you got to go one direction. And so I did it that way, so I could just fill in all the any imperfections, and then I'm going to go with Mr. Airbrush, and I will I'll go with the final coat on that. Probably either late today or tomorrow morning. I'll get the one more coat on there, and then we can start doing little things on here. And I got to put lights on this, and when I say lights, I got to put 2 lights right there, and all I'm going to do is take a drill bit and recess it just a tad, and take a hole punch where Mr. Clear Plastic is. We'll take some clear plastic, do a hole punch, and put some fake lights in there. But anyway, we're going to do that, and we will continue on with the baby driver car. The Spitfire, since a lot of the stuff when it dries, I gotta let it dry. I just can't. It's just wet and everything. But anyway, I got the Spitfire assembled, and not too bad. There's a couple gaps, a few little places which I want to take Mr. Tulip and fix that up. But anyway, wanted to show everyone the propeller when it works. And it does spin really freely. It's got a little bit of wobbly. However, it kind of should go back a little bit farther to the shaft, but I didn't want any resistance, hitting it or any of that nature. So anyway, it spins pretty darn slick. Doesn't hardly no noise or anything of that nature. But one thing I got to do is I got to get a pole, and I got to rig it up where you can take it on and off, because I got to ship it. I really can't have a big pole like that in a plane in a box. So I'm gonna have to make a telescoping pole to fish the wires in, and then we can start. Hopefully, at least get some primer on it. I got to go back. I got to go to the shed because I got to get a 72nd scale pilot for this plane, because it don't have one, and it's in flight and it needs one. So I got to go hunt one down for that. But anyway, that's pretty much taking shape and pretty darn slick. Those motor kits, the battery source, however, I kind of would have done something different. But anyway, it's not too bad. So anyway, Spitfire is taking shape. The BHP0789, and let me get some more light on here. I actually, I'm just about done with it. I went ahead and put the Balkan cross. I went ahead with that style of Balkan cross on the turret. If you can see, I did on the other side as well. I went in and did I took some of the carbon black pigments here. I did that over the vents. I did a lot of it on the track. I took some steel pigments. Did more on the track, which is kind of what I've been doing. The earthy pigments went in there. I mixed a whole lot of different pigments together just to get different effects. And if you can see, I've done it just makes it look good and worn and a lot more feathered. Started taking a lot of the earth and the brown or light tan there, mixing that. I got to paint some of the tools, but I wanted to get all the fading of the body, and then I got to go back in and airbrush the muzzle brake there, just a little bit of black and a few other little things. But we're getting close to almost finishing. Hopefully I can finish it either probably tomorrow, and then we can start on another tank. But anyway, the VK72 is taking shape. So anyway, just a little bit more, and just got to paint like the gun and just little things like that. But anyway, that's what I've got going on today. So we're going to try to finish up the VK7201. We are painting the baby driver car. The Spitfire is taken off, and we are doing seam duty on the Pinball Enterprise. So that's what I got going on today. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode.